Wait.
Well, you say my name is Frankie Manning.
Yeah, that's important.
And I was born in Jacksonville, Florida in 1914. I came up from Florida when I was 3 years old, from Florida to New York. That is when I was 3 years old with my mother. And I used to go, like during the summertime, I used to go to Aiken, South Carolina. My mother would send me down there during the summer just to stay with my aunt. My aunt was my father's sister. And I remember she had this big farm and workers that worked in the field, and she grew like corn, cotton, and watermelons, peanuts. And I remember as a kid I used to go, I used to like to pretend I was one of the workers, and I would go out in these fields, you know, with the other workers, and I would be picking cotton, you know, and peanuts. And was about 3 or 4 of us, my cousins, with 3 girls, and we all used to go out there in the fields. I mean, I remember I used to the picking up watermelons was my favorite, because I don't think we got so many watermelons as the ones that we ate. We ate more watermelons than we picked. You know? We'd be sitting out there in the middle of the field, you know, we'd break open the watermelon, we'd be eating the watermelon. And during the evenings, sometimes, like especially on Sunday nights, we would all be gathered around on the porch of my aunt's house, and there was a river that ran, you know, like by the house, maybe about 100 yards, like away from the house. And across this river was a church, Baptist church, and we could hear, like from where my aunt stayed, like we would be out on the porch, and we could hear the music, you know, the singing, gospel singing, and preacher preaching, and we could just hear, you know, all the religious atmosphere of the church, and we used to get, like we kids, we would get out in the yard and pretend that we were in, you know, in this congregation, and we'd be just shouting, you know, and we hear the preacher preaching, and we would shout like we had seen in church, you know. We hear these preachers, and the congregation, the people, the preacher had more exciting, you know, he'd be talking about brimstone and all of that stuff, and the people would get excited. So we would also, you know, pretend that, okay, we the congregation, and I'm the preacher, you know, I'll be preaching, and then the other kids would be jumping up and down, we'd be shouting and carry on. And these things, I think I kind of remember, you know, growing up and coming into dancing. There was a dance, I don't know if you're familiar with the dance, the Big Apple.
Yes.
You've heard of the Big Apple. But the movement, like at the beginning of the Big Apple, is something we call a shout. And I remember when I was told about the Big Apple, and I was asked to choreograph, well, I was asked to make up a routine of the Big Apple, and I had never seen the Big Apple. But I remember this movement that we did as kids, you know, pretending that we were church members, and we started members shouting. So I took that movement that I thought of as a kid, and it started up the Big Apple with that particular movement. And in the course of dancing, I think that all teachers of dancers, when they dance, if they're creating something, they think of something that maybe they have seen or something that they have done, and they take this thing, whatever it is, this movement, and make it into a dance. Like I remember later years going across country in a car. We were traveling from New York to California in a car, and I remember passing through these rural sections, and they had like scarecrows, you know, like scarecrows. I don't know. It's made of straw, and it's on a stick, you know, and it's put there to scare the birds away. And they call it scarecrow, because the crows were the type of birds that would, you know, like come down into the field. They see this figure standing there, they didn't realize that it's, you know, made of straw. They think it's a person. But I remember passing through there, and I saw this scarecrow, and it was just, you know, it just limped, you know, like. And I kind of thought about this movement and the dance, and I, you know, and during the dance, I remember the scarecrow, so I made a particular step that I call it scarecrow, you know, like I would imitate the movement that I had seen, yeah. And that is generally the way a lot of dances are created, you know, by other dancers, like, for instance, Charlie Chaplin, you know, a comedian. You see him a lot of times, like he's in a movie, and he does something funny, and he's like walking down the street, and there's a banana peel, and he kind of slips on this banana peel, you know, and I said, yeah, that's an idea for a step. So I started doing this particular movement that Charlie Chaplin do, and I added that into, you know, like into dancing, and I call it the Charlie Chaplin, you know. So a lot of these different movements come from life, from things that you do. I mean, you talk about modern dancing and all that. Well, I think Lindy hopping and swing dancing is just as modern as any dance, and it also comes from movements of the Lindy hop. Also comes from life. I think I've been very fortunate in my life to be able to, like, to dance, and to be able to have been associated and met so many, you know, like famous people, and I mean, people. If I was not a dancer, if I had not been dancing, I probably wouldn't have never met. I was just been reading their names somewhere. Now someone said to me, you know Count Basie? I said, yeah, I know Count Basie. So yeah, oh, what kind of a person is he? I said, Count Basie. Oh, Count is beautiful. He's a wonderful person. He's a good musician, and as a person, he's a wonderful, wonderful man. Nat King Cole. Oh yeah. Yeah, me and Nat, so you know. And it has been, as I say, I think I've been blessed by being able to, you know, like to say, yeah, I know Nat, you know, like Nat and I, we sat and we talk about baseball. Count Basie, we go to the bar, we talk. Joe Louis, hey Frank, come over, have a Coke, you know. I do not think that I would have been able to do all this if I had not become a dancer, and been able to travel around and meet these people. So I think I've been very fortunate in that sense. And if it's a talent that I have, I'm kind of thankful that I have it, that I was able to go into a dance that was practically unknown and new, and help to create it, help to fashion it, and to help spread it around the world. Well, speaking about Lindy Hop itself, it started like back in 1927, and it was actually a dance that we used to dance that was called breakaway, when you're dancing with a partner, and instead of holding her close in a close position at all time, you would kind of separate, but she would separate from you and come back, separate from you and come back. And we call it the breakaway at the time because she would actually break away from you and come back. And we credit Shorty Snowden, George Shorty Snowden, who was a wonderful dancer at the Savoy Ballroom. We credit him with naming the dance Lindy Hop. And where George himself, as youngsters, we used to look up to George Snowden and a fellow named Leroy Stretch Jones and Twist Mouth George. These guys were there before us, and we would gather around them, when they started telling their stories, And I remember George Snowden was saying, and we was asking him, and said, well, George, where did you get the name Lindy Hop? How did you pick that up? So he said, well, he was dancing in this marathon contest back in 1927, and he was doing, he'd come to Savoy, and he was doing the same type of steps that he'd do, but George was Shorty Snowden was very creative, and when he danced, he would improvise while he was dancing. So while he was doing this dance, the reporter asked him and said, well, hey George, what's that you doing? Because to him, the reporter, it looked like something new, something different. Hey George, what's that you're doing, man? I never seen that before. So Shorty Snowden said it was a few days after Charles Lindbergh, who was a famous aviator. It was a few days after Charles Lindbergh flew from New York to Paris, here in France. And the headlines in all the papers stated, Lindbergh, across the headline read, Lindy hops the Atlantic. So Shorty Snowden says to us, he says, well, when the reporter asked me that, I thought of this headline, and because the step I was doing was like a hopping step, he asked me about this. I said, well, I'm doing the Lindy Hop, So that's how the Lindy Hop actually got its name. And the Lindy Hop is done to swing music, predominantly because of that era. There was big bands that were playing, and these big bands were playing swing music. So the dance was actually done to big band music and done to swing music at that time. So, but that is how Lindy Hopping got its name, by headlines of the paper reading, Lindy Hops the Atlantic. So, and George Snowden, we credit him with naming it that. But Shorty Snowden, Leroy Stretch Jones, Twist Mouth George, all these characters with these names was kind of favorite dancers of mine. I used to, kind of look up to these guys, and I used to try to copy them, copy their style of dancing. And I could, my younger days, I could see somebody do something, and I watch it a couple of times, and I could like imitate what that person was doing, or do what he or she was doing. So I used to watch Shirley Snowden, and I copied all his moves. You know, Leroy, I copied his move, Twist Mouth, and those guys. So sometimes I would be dancing, and somebody says, "Hey Frankie, you look just like George Snowden." So I say, "Yeah, man, I like that. You know, I dance like George Snowden." And then at another time, they say, "Well, hey Frankie, you look like Twist Mouth George." I say, "Hey, oh, all right, good." Or I say, "Hey man, you look like Stretch Leroy." You know. So, but I had all these different guys. You know, like I danced their style, depending on what like what the music was dictating to me. But it was like I was doing everybody else but Frankie Manning, you know. As I said, they were my idols, but their style of dancing was like straight up and down dancing. And I, instead of dancing straight up and down, which was more like ballroom dancing, you know, like what we call European ballroom dancing, you know, like you just dance like that. And because they come from that era into swing, that's the style of dancing that they did. But I wanted to, like, because this was Lindy Hop and it was done to swing music, and swing music was a music that, you know, like flowed, you know. I wanted to give that impression that I was really swinging, you know, like really swinging out. So I started to, you know, like bend my body and like I would stretch out and sometimes I would be almost parallel to the floor while I was dancing. So most of the younger fellows around my age coming up, you know, they used to see me dancing like that, and then they say, "Hey Frankie, you look like you're flying." And that was the look I wanted to have, you know, like I was really, you know, like stretching out. I wanted to look like I was really flying, you know. So I said, yeah, that's it. So I kind of kept that kind of movement, and as I said, most of the youngsters coming up, they kind of took that movement also, because it was a lot of movement, it was a lot of action, and it really looked like you and your partner was really swinging, you know. So that was one of the things that I kind of added to Lindy Hop and created a more horizontal dance than straight up and down dance. And also, as I said, Shirley Snowden was like from the old school, and she was the best dancer, you know, and we all acknowledge that fact. But we was youngsters coming up, and we, you know, like we were creating a new style of dancing, and you know, and really getting a name, you know, as the dancers said, well, yeah, them Savoy Lindy Hoppers, man, they can dance, you know. And Shirley Snowden, as I said, from the old style, Shirley Snowden said, yeah, maybe they can dance, but they're still not as good as we are, you know. So we're the best, you know. Well, we all acknowledge that fact. I mean, we never thought of ourselves as being better than Shirley Snowden. We were just dancing the way we felt like dancing, and we were not professionals. I mean, all the dancing we learned was stuff that we picked up right there in the Savoy Ballroom, or from watching each other, or creating a step and showing it to somebody else, or somebody showing you a step. Hey man, that's a great step you did. Show me how you do it, you know. And this person would come on and say, yeah, well, I did this and I did that, you know, like, you say, yeah, well, do it, you know. As a matter of fact, in those times, I mean, like, it's not like now you go to the studio and everything is like counted out for you, you know, like you have to put this foot here and put that foot there. We didn't know anything about it. Yeah, what foot goes where, man, at what count or not, that was foreign to us. It was something that we didn't know about. All we know about is where is the beat? Where is the music, you know? Okay, you're swinging, man, but you want to be with that music. And this was what we were doing, dancing with the music. So Shorty Snowden come up and say, well, yeah, we are better than you dancers, and we would like to prove it, you know. So we had our mentor who was Herbert White. We call him Whitey, Herbert Whitey White. He had like a white streak in his hair, you know, and his name was White, so we call him Whitey because of the white streak. So, but he was like, as I say, he was our mentor, and like you would say, maybe artistic director, because he would say to us, we would be dancing, and he would say to us, hey, yeah, that looked good, but suppose you try to do it this way, you know, it'll look better. Or if I be dancing with the young lady who was my partner, and he says, you know, why don't you dance with this girl? Because I think you would look better with this girl. So he would put us with another partner, you know, because he thought that we two would be more suited for each other. So Shorty Snowden went to Whitey and he said, well, I tell you what, Whitey, you get 3 teams, and we'll have a contest. My 3 team and your 3 teams against each other, and we'll have it right here in the Savoy Ballroom, you know. So Whitey was saying, you know, he said, well, man, we don't have to do that, you know, but Shorty Snowden insists because he wanted to prove that they were the best, you know, by the audience, let the audience, you know, judge. So finally, Whitey said, well, okay, I'll pick out 3 dancers, you know, 3 teams of dancers, and we'll have a contest there. Well, now this contest was going to be like a couple of weeks from the time that they were talking about it. And my partner's name was Frida Washington. And I was telling Frida, I said, well, we're going to dance against Shorty Snowden. And I said, well, maybe we should try to get a new step, you know. Now Shorty Snowden was about 5'2", and his partner, Big B, she was like 6 feet tall, you know. So up here and down there, he was short and she was tall. So it made a comedy act, and they were very good at it. I mean, they were great dancers together. And they had one step that they would do at the end of their routine, like she would pick Shorty up on her back and carry him like off the stage, you know. And it always brought the house down. So I was telling Frida, I said, hey Frida, you know, I have an idea for a new step. She said, yeah, what is it? I said, well, you know that step that Shorty and Big B do? She said, well, which one are you talking about? Because they do so many. Which one are you talking about? I said, well, you know the one where Big B picks Shorty up on her back, you know, and carries him off the stage. So she said, yeah. She said, but listen, I'm not picking you up on my back. I'm not taking you up. I said, no. That's not what I mean. What I would like to do is like get you on my back and let you do like a rollover, flip over, and you land in front of me, you know, like in time with the music. Like we would be dancing, you know, and then you flip over. She said, yeah, that sounds good, but how do we do it? I said, well, I don't know, let's practice, let's try it and find out how you do it. So Frida lived like, we both lived on the top floor, but she lived like next door to me, you know. I got out my window across the alley. I said, hey Frida, come on over, you know, we practice. So she would come over the roof, you know, like to my house, and I like took the mattress off the bed, I put it down on the floor, you know, so. And then we tried to do this step. As I said, I didn't have the faintest idea of how to go into it, what to do. I said, well, one thing I know, you have to get on my back first, you know. and then you kind of flip over, you know. So she says, okay. So, you know, like I bend over, so I said, okay, get on my back. So she jumped on my back. She jumped on my back. And naturally, I fell, you know, one of those things like that. But eventually, make a long story short, eventually I got it to a point where I knew how to get it on my back and then have her roll over in front of me, you know, and land, you know, facing me. So I said, yeah, that's it, let's try that again, you know. So we just kept trying it. I mean, of course, we went through a lot of stuff before it actually, we got it. So eventually I got to a point where I could do it like every time, you know, we went into it. Then I removed the mattress and we tried to dance it, you know, like do it with the music, try to dance it to the music. And eventually I got it down to a fine point, and that was like the creation or the beginning of air steps being done, you know. So, and we entered the contest with this new step. And I don't want to go through all the details, but we were the last couple to dance. And when we finished dancing, we got down to the last step. I told Frida, I said, well, let's do the step now. So she said, yeah, okay. So because, like in those days, we would dance in a contest, but it was not like it was routine. It was not like a choreograph. We would get out and dance, and we would improvise while we were dancing, you know, like she knew all my steps, and I knew that she knew it, and I would say, let's do so and so while we're dancing, you know. So, okay, we would go into that, you know, particular step, and she said, well, how about this? I said, yeah, okay, and then we would dance. As I said, we would talk to each other while we were dancing, improvising, you know. So I said, okay, you ready to do this step? So she said, yeah. So in the contest, we did the step, and it was such sensational because nobody had ever seen anything like that done before. It just tore up the house, and everybody wanted to learn how to do that step. So I taught it to them. And then we got another air step, and then everybody started getting, you know, like air steps. And that was, as I said, that was the beginning of air steps being done.
When was that exactly?
It was around the latter part of 1935. Latter part of 1935, when they actually did the first air step. And also at the 1936, Jimmy Lunsford came up with this song called Posing, and I was playing this particular record, and as I say, I always like to dance with music, you know, like that. Music is, you know, the music has a break, I'll try to catch the break, you know, or if I feel like the riff or the rhythm of the music, that they're going to do that again at a certain period of time, you know, like, I say, yeah, it's going to come right here, you know, and I'll go along with it. So, Jimmy Lunsford was playing this, he had made this recording called Posing. So I used to dance to Posing, you know, and I would, when they said pose, I would stop, and then I would start, and I would pose. And it came to me, I said, well, this is great. I can do this posing or stops, but I can only do it with this particular song. I say, it would be great if I, you know, if I had a way of doing this with any song, any swing song that's being played, you know. So I got the idea that I would play a song, and at a certain break in the music, like at the end of a riff or something like that, I would pose, you know, like for the break, and then I would start up again at the beginning of another phrase, you know. And I just kept doing this, and it felt good, you know. So I called my partner over, and I say, dance this with me, and I want you to stop when I stop, you know. So we started dancing, and every time, you know, it got to a point, I said, stop, you know. I said freeze, or well, I didn't say freeze, I just say stop and stop. Then I said, oh yeah, that felt good, you know. So another friend of mine, George Greenidge and Ella Gibson, I said, hey George, come over here a minute, you know. So look, I'm gonna be dancing and I'm gonna stop at this certain point. Okay, I want you to watch me. So I danced and I stopped at this certain point. And I say, now, I want you to do the same thing we're gonna do. This many swing outs and this many steps, this many Charleston, and then we're gonna freeze right here, okay? So he said, yeah, okay. So the four of us, we started dancing together, and it worked out okay. You know, like we did a certain amount of steps, and we stopped right on this particular step, and we would start up again when the music started up. So I said, hey, yeah, that's great, man. And then another couple, you know, was standing on the side, so I said, come over here, you know. So I started showing them the same thing, and that was like, to me, for Lindy Hop, it was like the beginning of my being able to choreograph and starting ensemble dancing for Lindy Hop. Because before that time, everybody just danced individually. There was no, you know, the line of dancers who were doing the same thing all the time. So that was like I was just also created a, you know, ensemble dancing for Lindy Hopkins, and started to choreograph it, you know, play like whole routines, because that's exactly what happened. But I never said, look, I'm gonna choreograph this, or I just finished some choreography. I didn't even think it. As a matter of fact, this is like in the 30s, and I don't know if you realize, but back in those days, the word choreographer, as far as Americans were concerned, was not a part of the dance vocabulary. If you look at films, musical comedies of those days, and you see where dances were done, it's always said dances staged by such and such a person, staged by, never choreographed by this person. So, so I was staging the dance. So at this point, I was kind of staging the dance. So, I said, well, I started aerial dancing, and I also started ensemble dancing for Lindy Hopkins, and I started choreographing also at those particular times. And also in early 1935, George Twistmop George, I mentioned his name before, was a fellow that he came up to Savoy Ballroom one day, and Whitey, who I spoke to you, our artistic director, he and I were sitting at a table at the Savoy, just like during the day, and we could go out to Savoy during the day, because it was beautiful, you know. We would go and sit up there. Sometimes the band would be playing, you know, rehearsing, and we'd listen to the band. So we happened to be sitting up there, and Twistmop George came up there with another young lady named Edith Matthews, and he had this idea. He said, hey, Mike, watch this. He called him Whitey. He said, hey, Whitey, watch this. So he started swinging out with his father, and she started twisting, you know. So, yeah, man, that's great, you know. So do that again. So he did it a couple more times. So Mike and I was like sitting at the table, you know. So underneath the table, he come nudge my foot. He said, catch that, man, get that, there you go. So I said, yeah, okay. So I said, hey, George, do that again, man, because that's great, too. So George did it again, you know. He just swung out, and she twisted and carried on. So I kind of caught it. So Twistmop and Edith left. So I called over the same friend of mine, George. I said, hey, George, swing me out. I want to try something. So he kind of swung me out, you know, and I started to try to do what Edith was doing, you know. I said, well, keep swinging me out. So after a while, I got the knack of what she was doing, and I knew, as I said, I didn't know what count it was on. The only thing I knew was there with the music. So I started twisting with that. And then I called one of the girls over, and I said, look, I want you to do this. At the end of the swing, I want you to kind of twist like this, you know. So I did it with Joy. I said, I want you to try to do that. So she swung out a couple of times, you know. And when she got it right, I said, yeah, that's it. Now do it again, do it. So she did it again. And then we called over some of the other girls, and we started teaching this to the girls, you know, like how to twist. So I kind of brought that into Lindy Hopping. Well, secondhand, you know, but making it more of a prominent thing in Lindy Hopping, like twisting. So I kind of feel like that I was a kind of major force in during the development of Lindy Hopping.
Fantastic life, isn't it? You have spoken already about music, and could it be possible to give us more information on the relation between the dance and the music? Mm-hmm. And I want to say, to make my question more clearer, that I don't know if it's in Europe or it's because we are white or I don't know, people here always try to count when you speak about beat and swing. They always want to cut in 4 beats or in 6 beats or in 8 beats. It doesn't seem that for you it's that much important. It seems that you have got another ear, more finer, I don't know how to say. You don't seem to question yourself that much, but getting the right thing much more quickly.
Yeah, well, music, dancing to music I think is very important. Dancing to the beat of the music is, I think it's more important than maybe the phrasing of the music. When you're dancing, like particularly if you're doing swing dancing, and you're dancing to music, which is swing music. In swing music, they usually have like what we call a riff, you know, like bam, 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 yum, bam, 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 you know. Okay, you know that phrasing is going to come every single time, you know, for at least 8 bars. So when you're dancing, I mean, what you're hearing is, you hear this beat back there, and you hear this phrasing. Now, generally, when I'm dancing, I try to keep, you know, this beat going, but I might try to make body movements whenever the riff is playing. Now, I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but it's not that I'm counting out, so well, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not that. It's, although when the music is playing, the count is there. It's there. But you do not have to count it. I mean, you hear it, and it's there for you to dance to without having to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know, without having to do that. If you just listen to that music, the music is telling you anyway, say, never mind the count, just keep up with me, you know. You can just dance to whatever that riff is or whatever the beat of the music is. And as I say, well, if there's a riff going, I usually try to make a body movement that will go along with the riff and also keep the swing, you know, the beat of the music in my feet, or the rhythm of the music, you know, in my body. I don't know. It's kind of difficult to express, you know, like my feelings, because when I hear the music playing, I just feel like, okay, I just want to dance with that music. I just want to hear it. And then when it starts moving, I want to move with it. Because I listen to the music. I'm I'm not conscious of where the count is. I'm conscious of where the beat is, not where the count is. I don't know, it's just the feeling that you want to get out of listening to the music. And I think it's very important that you listen to music when you dance. I don't care what kind of dancing you do. I think it's very important that you listen to the music, and the music will give you the count, you know, wherever it is, if you're listening to it, without you having to think about it. Because if you're concentrating so much on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I mean, that's all you're doing. You're just counting. You're not feeling the music. You're not dancing to the music. You're just dancing to the count. I can understand, you know, that in studios it's easier to teach a person the count. It's easier to teach them that than to teach them the music. So, I think in teaching the count, I think teachers should let the pupils, the students, know that that beat is the count. That the beat, 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 the 1, the 2, the 1, the 2. That is there, regardless of what the count is. The beat is there. Then try to keep up with that, you know, on the rhythm of the music.
Where do you think your sensitivity about music comes from?
I have no idea. It's just that I think it's just something that I just feel it, and I think primarily, like you asked me where it comes from, I think primarily it comes from the fact that I was brought up with music. Like I was telling you, like when I was a little kid and I used to be in the yard and I hear the preachers preaching and the sisters singing, all of that, you know, I've been listening to music all my life, and I just hear all of that, and I just, you know, like, regardless of whether I was doing it right or wrong, I was just going along with this, you know, like I would just be, you know, I hear the music and I'd just be doing something, you know, at that time. As I said, I don't know where it comes from. It's just there. It's just, you know, I just.
What advices do you give to your pupils to get to that point?
What I tell my pupils, I said, listen to the music. Listen to it. Listen. Hear it, you know. And like a lot of times, I start my classes off with, come on, everybody let's just balance. Clap your hands. Just clap your hands. And then you find somebody. Hold it. That's not it. You want that, you know, not like you say, like in music, the musicians just say, you don't want to clap on like 1, 3, 5, 7, you know, you want to clap on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know, like in between, you want to get that syncopation of it, not you want to boom, 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 you know, that syncopation there. And I tell the students, I think, if you want to do swing dancing, you have to listen to the music. I mean, get some music. I mean, maybe it's something you might hear that might get to you, you know, like you might hear some, oh yeah, I like that music. What's the name of it, you know? Like you get that and you just, I mean, even if it's one song, you just want to listen to it over and over so you get the feeling of it, you know? And then there'll be other songs you say, oh yeah, that sounds something like that too. Get that and listen to it, you know? This is primarily what I think I probably did that all my life. I mean, to me, music is like a therapy, you know. Like I've known many times when I wasn't feeling, feeling too good, and I would like go to Savoy. I say, and I don't even feel like dancing, I go to Savoy, and then I stand up in front of the band, and the band will be playing, and then after a while I'd be, let's start clapping. Hands start clapping. I say, yeah. And then I forget all about, not feeling good, I say, oh yeah, man, you find somebody to dance with, one of those things like that. So I think music is a therapy, if you listen to it, it's a thing where I always say that. I say, if all the leaders of the world could dance, there wouldn't be no fights. Wouldn't be no fight, like this.
Because you are an important memory of the past. And I'm very happy to see you speaking about your passion and look really like a child when you express and when you show what you were doing when you were a kid. And it's why I want to ask you information about what happened, if you know about it, when all these type of dances arrived in Europe, and what relation do you make between swing and Lindy hopping and jive and rock and roll? Do you know what is taught as jive all around the world by the English system, and what do you think about it?
I think all these they connect. It's interconnected. Like you take Lindy hopping, and you take rock and roll, jive, boogie woogie, all those dances. The roots of those dances is Lindy hop. To me, it's just like each one of these dances. So like, because it's England and they call it jive, and another part of the country, of Europe, they might call it boogie woogie, but it's all roots of the Lindy hop. I just feel that it's just a different style. It's the style of that particular country that you're dancing to. For instance, like in America, there are different sections of the country. All of them have their way of dancing, which still the roots of it might be Lindy hopping. It's just that, Lindy hopping was created in New York. New York City has 5 boroughs, right? And each one of those boroughs, like you have Manhattan, you have the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. Even though Lindy hopping was created in New York City, each one of these boroughs have a different style of dancing. Now, they could say they all came up to Savoy Ballroom and say you were from Staten Island and you dance immediately. I say, oh, hey man, you from Staten Island? Oh yeah. Hey, you from the Bronx? You from Brooklyn? We all learn, like the basic is Lindy hopping, but they all have a different style. So this is one section of the country that does one style. Another section of the country does another style, and another section does another style. They call it something else. But to me, the basic, the very roots of all of these dances is the Lindy hop, or swing dancing. They say swing dancing, which can mean anything. You could do Argentina tango with a swing, right? You could do mambo or any one of those other dances with a swing to it. Lindy hopping is done to swing music, and primarily because that was the kind of music that was being played when it first started. Now they're coming with like I was asking the people in Germany, I said, well, okay, so you call it boogie woogie. Why? I mean, where did the name boogie woogie come from? So one of the fellows was telling me that his mother was saying like during the war, in the wartime, or right after the war, there was these movies or songs being played, you know, boogie woogie stuff, you know, boogie woogie. And they'd see a movie, and the movie would say boogie woogie dances, although they were doing a style of Lindy Hop. But they call it boogie woogie dances, you know. So they say, oh, I'm doing boogie woogie. So that was their way of doing it. And in England, there's a group called the Jive Lindy Hoppers. And I said, well, why are you using the name jiving, you know? Because in America, jive means an untruth, a lie, you know, like I said something to you. I say, yeah, man, I met this beautiful young lady last night, and you say, oh, you just jiving, you know. I mean, you lying, you know, you're not telling the truth. So I said, well, why you pick the name jiving? They don't know, but they say, well, we just call it jive because, like again, in the movies, you see a movie and some of the stars come up and ask another fellow. He said, come on, can you jive with me? And the guy looked at us and like, what are you talking about? He said, I mean, dance, no, jitterbug, linear, can you jive? So they got the word jive, so they use jiving, you know, and so it's different sections of the world. They take names that they probably heard from or from music that they heard played, and they seen them do this type of dancing, and then they create their own style of dancing. Like I said, to me, the roots, the very bottom of that tree is still swing, still Lindy Hop. They just do it differently, just do it a little differently, that's all.
Yes, I understand. So that will be just one more technical question, which is quite important here. Do you know that the jive all around the world, based on the English technique, is taught on 1, 2, 3 or 4, 5 or 6 beats? And what do you think of that?
Well,
some people saying that by your time it was danced like this. Is that right?
No, in my time, we didn't know whether it was 6 beats or what. No, most of the things we.
But you were the music.
Yes, we followed the music, and music. If you know anything about music, music is not done in 6 bars. It's done in 8 bars.
Of course.
And that's what we dance. We have 6-bar figures. I mean, 6 count figures that we didn't even realize we were doing. But we had the 6 count figures, and a lot of times they were generally done like at the end of a phrase or something like that, mm-hmm. you know. But it's not that we say, okay, we'll do 8 counts here and we'll do 6 counts here, or let's just do 6 counts. No, as I said, we didn't know nothing about it. What's an 8 count? What's a 6 count? I tell you the truth. When I first started teaching in a studio, well, I worked with the Lindy Hoppers, and I taught a lot of them, but it was not like I would say, okay, this is a 6 count, you do this a 6 count turn, or this is an 8 count phrase. I never thought of it in that sense. I mean, I would show them, I said, well, okay, you do this and you do that, and you turn here and you turn there, or something like that. When I started teaching in studios, that was the same way I approached it, until somebody says to me, said, well, hey, what's this done on a 6 count or 8 count? I don't know, what are you talking about? I didn't know what the heck he was talking about, you know. And, but I mean, you know, like over the years, I began to say, well, yeah, but this is what these people know. I have to try to learn these counts if I want to teach. I mean, if I'm going to teach these people, I have to learn to count. But in trying to learn to count, I have to maybe try to educate them in listening to the music rather than listening to the count. So I try to do both now. If it's difficult for them to hear the music or get that, I mean, if I get too many questions about what count is this on, I'll say, well, okay, this is, I'll give them that count, But otherwise I say, well, look, do this and just hear what you're doing.
Am I wrong if I say that by your time, even if you could have a step on 6 counts, even if you say that you didn't know by that time on what count you were, following the music, you were automatically, one time or another time, on the right count. Is that wrong?
If I was doing all 6 counts, I would have to be on the wrong time.
Yes. So if you had a figure on 6 count to do, automatically 2 beats later, or you will be right back on the music. Of course.
Yes.
So that is the idea I've made with myself about that. And I'm against people, and I can't understand people who say that by that time people were dancing just on 6 counts. I refuse it, because I think I've understood that you were dancing right on the music, even without knowing what we are doing, but you were with the music. And nobody knows a swing on 6 beats. That does not exist.
Yes. Well, like you said, because there is no, it's not 6 count music. Music is 4-bar phrases, 8-bar phrases, 12-bar choruses, 32-bar choruses, and this is all based on like 8 counts.
Of course. Can't be anything else.
On 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So that is right. It's clear for me. And your, how would you say, your witness, no. This way is a witness. No?
Yes.
What you say is very important.
Yes.
Because you have lived all this period. So now that we know, and that you have forced yourself to know what counts and to teaching with counts, do you think it's right to form people and to teach pupils on just 6 counts?
No, yes, I think it's wrong to teach it on just 6 count. I think you can teach 6 count. You can teach a person how to do you can teach people that, but I think it would be very important to teach them 8 count also.
So, right, that is my...
Because this way they can learn music more than if they just did it on the 6 count. I think it's important that they, it's important that they learn 8 counts. And it's good to know 6 counts too. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important to learn 8 counts.
So now I will tell you my personal problem and what I believe in. I am with other friends from France and other people from foreign countries, I am against teaching 6 counts, the jive. I just accept, because so many schools all around the world are still teaching on 6 counts, that I want my pupils to dance with these pupils. So I'm teaching 6 counts, but I'm teaching in the same time 8 counts and 4. And I'm trying to find arguments to stop that way of teaching in 6 counts.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. As I said, there are teachers in New York that teach 6 count. And then I ask them, so why you just teach 6 count? And the only reason they can give me is that it's easier. That's the only reason they can give me. They say it's easier to teach a 6 count than it is to teach 8 count. But I don't feel like that should be a reason.
Yeah, that's right.
If you have a studio and you want to teach a person a dance, then you should teach them what they should do, not to say, well, I'll teach them this because it's easy. So I totally agree with you. When I start out teaching people, I tell them this is the way that I learned how to dance. And I will start out teaching them 8 counts. I mean, down the line, I said, well, here's a turn that has a 6-count beat in it. But I don't I never start off teaching them no 6-count. I start off and say, well, listen to this. And at the end of this phrase, you're going to find out that you're always doing the same thing at the end of the phrase of the music, because the music is there for that 8 count. The music is there for that 8 count. So each time you say 1, that music is there. That's an 8 count. Each time.
Yes, it's what is for me still more important, or I can't find the word, but more important. It's they teach 6 count as a basis.
Yeah. Well, for swing music, I don't agree with that.
That's why I'm asking.
I'd say you can teach 8 count and 6 count, but the basic of it is 8 counts.
Thank you very much for that argument, because it's very important. And here in France especially, so many people say not only it's easier, but they say it's the way it was danced at the origin. It's why it was so important to ask you. You understand me? And it's why this is very important.
Yes, yes.
Because these teachers, or dancers, but I think it's more important for teachers, they get deaf. You say deaf, but music. And they can't hear the music more, because they are never or so rarely with the music that they have to close their ears. And as long as somebody wants to dance, I think it's all right, but as long as you are a teacher, you have to get your personal point of view in front of that. And I'm trying to work with other friends.
Well, you know, it is not the students who are demanding 6 count. It's the teachers who are giving the 6 count, because you get a student in there, they're going to do what you tell them to do, you know, because you're the teacher.
Yes, sir.
They're going to say, well, okay, my teacher told me to do it this way. And that's the way you're going to do it, because your teacher showed you that way.
And it is the responsibility of the teacher.
It's the responsibility of the teacher to teach it correctly. And I'm here to say that 8 count is the basic.
Of course, thank you very much. And we work too on the educational side of dancing. We think it's very important to be with the music for the pleasure, but also for the organization of the feeling and the movement, and music is such an important part of life. So we are trying and find arguments, especially if, as we were saying, our government wants to make a law about it. Then I will fight as much as possible not to have a law which would force the teachers to teach 6 counts, because all around the world they say it's the right way. I will fight against it, and this will help me.
Yes.
But it's finished about technical and counts. We had some question about kids. Do you work with kids?
Occasionally, yes.
And how old are they?
Well, I've had some kids in the 5th grade. I have some kids in the 9th grade. Well, say 9. I have 9-year-old kids. I have 13-year-old kids. And, you know, like a...
And the younger is?
Huh?
The youngest is?
Oh, well, the youngest I had, I guess 8.
8. Right. Never before?
Never before.
Never before. Why? You don't want, or that it's just not happening?
I go into schools, and generally, you know, like you start school at 5, 6 years old, 6 years old. So then you know, when we give a class and then, or rather when we do a show, then after the show we, you know, like take some of the kids, they, that's the age that they are, you know, like 8, 9 years old.
Right.
So it's not kindergarten, you know. Of course, I have gone to some kindergarten classes, but not to teach, or just to be there and we jump around and do little things, you know, and show them something, you know, but not actually to teach them.
Generally speaking, what do you think about standardization of dances?
The what?
Or standardization.
Organization.
Standardization. What you, the waltz is all around the world taught the same way, and the tango too.
I'm a freelance dancer, you know, like I'm a street dancer, you know, so I can't go for the organization stuff. I mean, you know, like this has to be done this way and that's it, you know. I have a style. I do Lindy Hop. You do Lindy Hop. But you do Lindy Hop your style. I Lindy Hop the way I feel like I want to do it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to look exactly like you, and I don't want you to look exactly like me. You know, one of those things like that. I mean, so I don't like that standardized way. It's got to be. This is it, and that's all. You got it.
So you are probably, I suppose, against competition. And
against competition?
Yeah. Or
I'm not against competition, but I'm against all these rules set aside for the competition. You know, I did you know, like a lot of competition. We call them contests. We don't call them competition. We call them contests. Back in my day, and it was never okay, you didn't have your back straight, or you didn't have it bent, or you didn't have your elbow. I got up there and I danced. Oh, yeah, he's with the music. He's creative. He's that, you know. Not to say that, okay, that other person is doing that same step, but he's doing it better than that person, you know. He's got more rhythm in it, and he's doing it more in time than that person. That's about all, you know, like.
And could you go further? Music, creativeness?
Creativity.
And creativity and some of the ideas, important things?
Yeah, music, dancing with the music, and being creative and improvisational, you know, being able to dance with anyone and improvise while you're dancing, you know, and still maintain your sense of what the music is.
Yes, and this, I don't know how to pronounce really, standardization cuts improvisation.
Yes, it does.
Then could you give us some ideas and some words about improvisation and how to get there?
Well, improvisation is like like being able to dance, and while you're dancing, you communicating with your partner, and you and your partner like listening to the music. Now, and you start to improvise while you're listening to the music, and your partner is able to follow you, or you are able to lead your partner while you're improvising, you know, and dancing with the music. You should always be able to like lead your partner, but also give her the opportunity to be creative on her own, particularly in, like I said, Lindy Hop and swing dancing. You should be able to say, well, okay, you got your space, you do what you have to do, you know, and then I got mine, and I do what I have to do, but you're still in communication with each other. Say, like you still say, well, I got 4 bars or 4 beats or 2 beats, I can do this. You got 2 beats, you can do this, but you know that these other 6 beats that you have to do certain things together, and then you separate and you do whatever you have to do in these 2 bars or whatever amount of time that you give your partner, or amount of time that your partner gives you, and during that time, you will like improvise while you dancing. You do footwork or body movement, and your partner do footwork or body movement, depending upon, or if you have an idea of what your music is saying to you, or the way that the music is making you feel. Now, everyone who dances, like you and I, okay, but we take a musician. He plays a trumpet. He's a musician, he plays a trumpet. They're playing the same song. This musician, he plays a solo. This one, he's playing the same song, but he plays a different solo, because this is the way that he feels. He feels that music differently from what you feel. You dance with your partner, she feels the music a little bit different than what you're doing, but yet and still she knows that you and her are dancing together, so she's going to, whatever she does is going to be coordinated with her partner.
It's a very, very fine relationship,
Yes.
communication,
Yes.
very special one.
Yes. Yeah, well, of course, there are steps that you say your partner know and you know, and you say, well, let's do so and so here, and she knows that you say, well, let's do so and so here. She knows that you don't mean right now, but it's going to come up with the flow of the music, So she's going to follow you. Say, oh yeah, well, he wants me to do this. We're going to do this right here, So
In your teaching, how do you qualify the leading and the operation, the work of the boy compared to the way of the girl?
Well, when I teach, I try to teach the leaders that when he's leading a young lady, that he shouldn't be King Kong, a gorilla, like be pulling on her, like, he can lead her, but he can be very gentle with that. I was taught by Whitey that you should be able to just touch hands, and the communication between just that touch of the hand can tell your partner where or what you want to do without having to come over here, come over there, So I try to teach the fellas to be very gentle with the lady, but also communicate correctly and strongly in the sense of that you want her to do, a certain thing. Or if you're dancing on the floor, dancing socially, you watch out for her back. You don't want her to run into anybody else. You don't want nobody to run into her. And she's watching after you because she wants the same thing about you. So you lead her very gently around this person or around that person, but not roughly.
I think it's going to be the end. Do you feel that Lindy hopping or other type of couple dancing is coming back?
Yes, I think I really do. I think that in the form of couple dancing, it swing, Lindy hopping, yes. It has come back very strongly. And it also in America and in Europe, I find that couple dancing is coming back. And I think people of the world, they say, well, man, it's about time we got together, you like before when it was an individual dancing, you get out on the floor, you say, may I have this dance? You say, yeah. And you get out there and you start doing something, and your mind is someplace else, and your partner's way over there in the corner, and you're on this side of the corner, but you're dancing with her, like whatever you're doing, So I think people are tired, say, well, I'm supposed to be dancing with this guy, where is he, So everybody is starting to come back together again. And And I think that kind of started down when the hustle came back in, you know, when they started dancing together again. I think the time of the twist, when Chubby Checker came out with the twist, which was individual dancing, you know, that was a period of time when everybody started dancing by themselves, you know, and they do a lot of other dances.
You think it's over this time?
I don't know if it's over, but I hope it is. But as I said, it does seem to me that people are getting more into couple dancing.
Well, in America,
And they're not just the youngsters either. I mean, the older people are doing it too.
it came through hustle.
Yeah, starting with the hustle. Yeah. I think
I
so.
d- we don't
I don't
have-
know particularly if that was it, but it seemed to me like starting with the hustle. People started there.
We don't really have an equivalent in Europe of the hustle. It's funny. So thank you very, very much.
Oh, my pleasure.
If you want to say something particularly, I don't know, give an advice.
Well,
or advice.
I just give the advice that I give to everyone. If you want to stay young, just keep dancing.
Right, you have the best proof. That's right.